Hello everyone, welcome to Anatomy of Advertising, episode 3. We have one and only Nishmita today with us.
Hi Madan, thank you for calling.
She works as a producer. It's been since 6-7 years?
5-6 years, yeah.
A person who pulls everyone together. You give her chaos, she gives back ad film to us basically.
Yes.
Been working with Nishmita for quite a while now. Why producer? How did you get to know about this?
So, I don't think anyone plans to get into advertising as such, especially production and advertising.
Exactly.
I knew I wanted to be in media industry in some role. So I always did film school and film studies. That was always my education. And every student who goes to film school, they always are passionate about movies, and everyone wants to be in their movie industry.
Feature.
Features, always, everyone, including me. I also wanted to be very in the Kannada industry, all that. I did one project, one film, and by luck I got into advertising in one of the internships during my college.
Oh.
It was just really amazing because it was also a short project, right? Like ads are much shorter than feature films, and within a week you almost turn around you coming up with an idea to the final product. It's very quick and it's very fast, it's very chaotic, but it's also organized. Like for an outsider it looks extremely chaotic. There is a structure in place, and I just fell in love with that whole process and how quick it is and how everything happens so amazingly, in structure. I always wanted to be the person yelling and telling people to be on time and all of that. That was always my thing. But I think advertising and production was something I stumbled upon by chance, and I'm very lucky that happened to me. It's been amazing.
So were you a class representative during your school and college days?
Always, everywhere.
Makes sense.
I was
Makes
always
sense.
that person. Yeah.
Then makes sense.
Yeah.
So just to give a clarity to our listeners, what is actually the role of a EP or a producer?
So I think the roles also are very varied. I can tell the role of an EP in Bangalore and a role of an EP in Bombay is again different. The structures are very different everywhere. So I don't even have to go abroad. Just within India only there's like a variation. So I think mainly EP and producer are very similar roles. Generally, if it's a production house, EP is the main person who runs the production house. He's the founder, he's the main producer. He gets the client. And if they have multiple projects, there are individual producers per project. So there's an EP, they get a client, and there are 4 clients running simultaneously. So they will give one project to one of their producers, and that producer runs the show.
Typically like a project manager.
Yeah. And otherwise, if there is no production house as such, like right now I'm a freelancer, so we only have the role of producers now. There's no EP in this kind of a structure, right? Yeah, that's the main roles. In Bombay, we also have post-producers who mainly supervise the entire post-production of it. Bangalore, we don't get enough budgets to hire so many people, so we end up doing multiple roles as one person. That's the main thing.
So I can say that basically producer is the class representative kind of a job during the shoot, as well as even the post-production.
Like from beginning to end, because we'll also have to do client servicing. We'll also have to, from managing them to, understanding what they want, if it's agency or client, whoever, understanding their requirement, and then getting our team on board that matches that requirement, and then running it so that there's no delay.
How much does a producer get involved in terms of selecting a director or like a cast part of it, or even the crew members?
Each creatives also have like a talent to certain things, and one of the main things is to have an eye to know, this DOP will do really good in like a fashion film, as compared to like a narrative film. And so understanding those things and getting the right people on board, or at least ideal world, producers have the call to get the right people on board. But nowadays we have agencies and clients who will also, at least for directors and DOPs, they get involved. But the remaining team, usually the producer brings on board.
Can you tell us which was one of your the first projects and any anecdotes there?
Yeah. I think
Your
one of my
experience.
first and one of my hardest projects was basically I was working in Bigfoot Productions at that time. I had joined as an associate producer over there, and so I had to do stuff like coordinate between the hair and makeup stylist and the actors, making sure like they're ready for each shot with their each outfits, getting the extras ready on time, making sure our vendors come on time, all the equipments and all of them, and they're not going to be on time, so you have to be behind them to make sure they're on time, running around for all of this, and mainly fixing any crises. Like I remember in my first shoot, I had to go beg the location coordinator for extension because we needed extra hours, and then begging them to give it to us for free was not for add extra cost, right? Like as much as possible trying to pull that down. That was my first experience. It was crazy. We shot for I think around 21 hours. We had to extend. I went mental. It was just but it was also really fun, and I learned a lot from there onwards. Like I think you learn the most on set. The minute you are there, you learn the most over there, and you pick up everything
So
from there.
you feel like you enjoy the most if you're put into chaotic situations.
So, I mean, initially and all, yes. When I started out, the chaos was what was interesting me. But now I feel like the lesser the stress, the better. I think the chaos is always going to be there. And the more you are in the industry and the more experience you get, you realize you can predict the chaos as much as possible. And end of the day, something else that you didn't predict is going to go wrong. And then you have to have that problem solving knack to, figure it out on spot.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
that is always there. Chaos
Yeah.
is there in the production.
Yeah, I think
without
chaos is what intrigued me because there's so much that happens, and to pull out one 30-seconder, there are like at least like 50 crew members behind running around, right? And each of them need to know exactly what they're doing, else there's going to be delays, so that coordinating between everyone, ensuring everyone's on the same page, ensuring that the product doesn't get affected, the final film doesn't
Yeah.
get affected. That's just really amazing to be part of that. So I think that's what intrigued me the most.
So, and I think you have to also be a people's person to be able to manage
100%.
40, 50 people in the crew.
Yeah, 100%.
If you don't like talking to people, then this is not the job.
This is not the job. Like if you're an introvert, this is not the job. Like you have to, and especially like even with clients and agencies, right? It's not, and you need to know how to talk to both of them. Talk to both clients and
Yeah.
agencies. That's a different communication altogether.
As well as the
spot
production team.
and like everybody. You need to know how to talk to everyone and deal with them and their tantrums and everything. So you have to be a people person, and yeah, that's the fun part.
According to you, how does it translate? You can explain with a couple of examples also from what a brand or an agency, I would say brand would have thought about from a brand brief till the
Correct.
film.
Correct.
What things remain constant or what things end up changing a lot?
Yeah, a lot changes. So usually a brand comes to you with like either a new product release or like a feature release or there's a sale or something. They have a requirement for which they want films. Then agencies come in, they set the whole, the tone, the creative direction of it, and sometimes they even lock the scripts for us, and then they bring us on board, and then we add our own value addition, right? Like we add a treatment to the script, how we visualizing it, the kind of shots, the kind of mood, the lighting, all of that. We add all of that, and once all of that is set, then we start with the pre-production, which is bringing in the actors, the team, all of that, and then we have a PPM meeting, which is pre-production meeting, which is the most important day of the...
Can you explain a little bit in detail about it?
Yeah, so basically the whole aim of a pre-production meeting is to ensure all the players in the whole thing, right? Like from the client to the agency to us, and in us all our directors, all our creatives.
As many production house, let's say, or the production team.
House, or a team, right? All of us have to be on the same wavelength. Else it's going to
That's it.
cause, that's the main aim, that's the only aim of it. Which is why we do that meeting where we tell them as detailed as possible how we are visualizing the film. Who are the actors, what they'll be wearing, what the location is, what the location will look like on the final day, where the actions will happen, we give references, right? Referencing is such an important talent. So you have to give references on like how the edit will be, what kind of music we'll use, everything, as much as possible, you break it down for them so that there's no surprises on the final day. So if they have to flag anything, saying that, oh, this music, it's too Indian, we don't want this for us as a global brand, we don't want this. They'll flag it right there. So we know, and then we can prepare accordingly. Because once we shoot, to come back and fix something, it's really difficult. So we try to, the whole aim is to ensure this is what we are doing. I hope you're okay with it. If you're not okay, please tell us right now so we can find alternatives.
Not in the shoot day.
Not on the shoot day, please, as much as possible. That's the whole thing. That's the main day. Once that's done, we know how much we have to do damage control as much as possible. We do that, and then we go into the production.
Okay.
After that, after the shoot is done, it's the post-production, which is damn fun, where we have, again, many players. That's where the main thing happens, which is the final look gets set on the post-production, and there are many players in that also, and then we give the final product. We try to retain as much as possible from what the brand gives us or the agency gives us in terms of the idea or the script. But there will be creative inputs from there's always a to and fro that happens from the director to the agency or brand. And we try to retain it as much as possible. So I think after PPM, whatever we decide gets retained. Like, before PPM is where all the changes happen and the creative changes. Oh, I don't want this dialogue, or, I don't want it to, to be this fast paced.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, all that gets decided there. After that, whatever the brand is okay, that we retain till the end. I think that's the process for us.
You mentioned one important word, saying that referencing is an important talent.
Yeah, it's such a big
So
talent.
can you explain,
Yeah.
I mean, if at all someone is thinking about what is referring, how can, let's say I can learn referencing.
Correct. I think that's the first thing any newcomer, fresher joins any production. No, it doesn't matter what role you've joined in, you end up referencing somehow. So I think one of the main thing you need to do is consume good content as much as possible. Just like, just watch. And it's a practice, right? You watch crazy films, you do all of that. But for advertising to reference, you need to study ads. You need to sit and watch them very consciously and not just, as a skippable ad.
As a skip ads in your YouTube.
Yeah. You need to consciously keep an eye out and be aware of what's happening and study them. That's one main thing. And second thing is, I think it's to know and remember, right? The more you watch, the better your referencing will be.
Yeah.
That's the main game. Because when the director comes and says, I want references to a montage cut, and you remember it's there in the beginning of some Ant-Man film or something, right? You remember that, and then you use that as a reference. Or you remember it was in some Shah Rukh Khan ad in 1990, and that clip can be used to show how they used exaggeration or whatever. So that's where the main game is, and that's such an important talent.
And it need not be only constrained to the ad films or just of India. It could be you can watch music videos and get the referencing into it for that.
Music videos is such a big source for advertising, especially we immediately go to music videos, right?
Not just of India, of any country, any
which
language.
Is that whole music video where the camera goes 360 and he's standing and the girl keeps changing.
The Maroon 5.
Yeah.
Maroon 5.
That's been used in referencing some 600 times in my life.
For all the robo shots.
For all the robo shots, there comes, and all the transitions and all the cool transition music videos. Again, they come into referencing. Coldplay's Up and Up song where they use that whole upside down perspective change. Again, it's part of every day. Yeah. So I think music video is a big source. Yeah, anything, just consume great content as much as possible. That's the main thing, key.
The other holy grail of all the producers, the budgeting.
Yeah, I thought you'll ask something.
How do you handle it? Is it ever enough?
It's never enough. Especially in the recent years, it's never enough. So I think budgeting is something that's very crucial because you also have to budget for the crises that might happen. You have to predict for it. So ideal world would be, and initially I've heard this was a practice before, years before, when industry was better and the market was better, that you could you could add those buffers which would, cause that crisis, that, you could do the damage control in the buffers.
Okay.
But nowadays, since the market is so less, the minute you send in a budget, there's somebody undercutting you always. There's so many players now, right?
Okay.
So you can't add those extra buffers anymore because they're going to come back and say, you've sent a 35 lakh thing, there's someone giving me 20 lakh. That's 15 lakhs difference. So you have to shave off all that and you give the bare minimum cost. Now the scare part of that is
Anything
if
goes wrong?
anything goes wrong, we don't have any safety net there.
So that's more pressure on the producers.
Yeah, and also the clients, they'll say, no, I want only this much, and they'll say, I want only this much, 15-second film, why are you costing this much for it, that, and then in the pre-production meeting, they'll be like, actually, can you add like another model in the background walking around, and that's extra cost, and we don't have any buffer for those costs. And then again, it's a to and fro again, and they'll be like, why are you coming back to the cost? We locked it, right? So budget is such a tight rope to walk with all the players. That's always a case, and it's never enough, and it never matches what they require, like their requirement and their deliverables.
That's always the case.
That's always the case. Yeah, that's usually what happens.
So, I mean, you mentioned that the market was better, or
Yeah,
the
I've heard.
budgets had buffers before.
Yeah.
Why do you think it has changed, or in your experience, what is it that you have seen that it has changed?
I think multiple things, right? One of the main thing is before brands used to do like 2 TVCs year round.
Okay.
So they had a massive budget for the 2 TVCs. Now they have to put out content constantly to be like,
Relevant.
Yeah. Social media, you have to put out, you can't not put out. So now there'll be major campaigns where they'll bring in brand ambassadors like Kohli or whatever. They'll have their celebrities that will have the budget. But they'll want all these filler contents for the social media, for which they will not be ready to give budget because they don't have that much. So that's where the main game comes, because those projects, they'll have very less budget. But that doesn't mean they're ready to let go of their, expectations.
Celebrity, how does that work? Maybe you can share any story. How managing the celebrity on their entourage also parcel of producer's job?
100%. And that's a pull and push that I don't know, like it's so difficult because the brand wants a certain celebrity and they will bring that celebrity on board. But their celebrities cost, like other than their own fees, right? Their entourage fees. Because celebrity will have a specific makeup artist only allowed. And he wants a specific vanity van on set. Not any vanity, no. It has to be that vanity van.
Oh.
There have been instances, certain celebrities have been specific like this, and we had to get a vanity van drone down from Bombay to Bangalore because they're not okay with any vanity van. So there's going to be tantrums like that, and those costs are part of our budget. So the client will be like, budget is going up, but they want to shoot with that guy only, and that guy has his tantrums, and we have to figure that out. And then it ends up us cutting our own costs because you have to accommodate the tantrums. That's a very hard pull and push. But I've also had like some really nice experiences where I've had like Rahul Dravid, we shot with him.
Oh.
Such a sweetheart celebrity to shoot with. Like, in the sense, they will have their specifications, but they'll inform us beforehand. The manager was very cooperative. We knew exactly what we were getting into. There were no surprises on the day. It was very manageable. So
he's a jammy in real life too.
Yes. It was really fun to shoot with him.
You're talking about a lot of new players in the market, right? Mm-hmm. So one thing is, as you mentioned, it has contributed to a lot of budget cuts. But
Correct.
At the same time, do you think it has kind of made it challenging to the other older players in the market, and it kind of like up the
100%.
creative game?
Correct, 100%. Because especially now, because most of the films that the briefs we are getting, it's for the digital
And I can
release.
shoot it in
No,
mobile?
not really that.
But someone can.
Yeah, they can. I once got an iPhone brief that was also a thing, like shoot it on an iPhone. Not for iPhone, like some brand.
Not it.
No, yeah. But when it is for these, when they specifically have social media briefs, right? It has to be edgy. It has to be in lines with the trend. Right? Whatever is trending, what is happening, what kind of content is actually clicking, it has to be in lines with that. So it forces the older players also to always be aware, because these new players, they've grown up with social media, they've lived with social media.
They know how to.
They know how to do it. They like it comes very naturally for them. When people who worked on, directors who've done TVCs for 10 years, when they have to make a social media thing and
Yeah.
they have to connect with that audience, that's a gap that they have to very consciously work towards.
Does this format change also play a game?
Oh.
Because let's say both of us have grown up watching TVCs,
Yeah.
which are basically horizontally shot.
Correct.
And now even add
Yeah.
experience in the recent times where we have to think and shoot primarily as a vertical format.
yeah.
Has that something, because that actually does make a difference in terms of planning the
makes-
production, planning the
Makes
framing
so
and
much
everything.
difference. So now brands come to us with 16 by 9, 9 by 16, 1
1
is to 1, 4 is to 3.
4 is to 3 is
There's
also
so
there.
many. This is just aspect ratios. So if there's one film, right, one minute film that they want to do, that 1 minute film should have a 30-second down edit, 15-second down
6
edit,
second.
10-second and 6-second down edits. So that one film has at least so many permutation combinations has to be done, and they have to be given that many deliverables.
Yeah.
That's a huge challenge, because you have to keep it in mind from scripting.
And in the vertical, can I keep a 2 shot or not?
Or two
Will
shot
it work or not?
Yeah, yeah. Then we've had instances where we have shot horizontally. In post, our client has come back and said, we want
Adjust kar
vertical. What is there? Chop hi karna hai, kya karna hai, and all that. And then we have had this thing where we had a 2 shot and we had to pan between the characters and, somehow make it work.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so the formats also matter a lot, and I think it's reduced the narrative films a lot. Like in advertising, storytelling films have reduced a lot because of these formatting. Because in 10 seconds, what story can you tell?
I think that is one of the reasons why we kind of grew up watching these ad films where there was a story, like
Correct.
a conflict or a drama
Yeah.
built in, and then it
Resolution.
got resolved because
Yeah.
of the product
Correct.
or whatever the brand as such.
Yeah.
Now we are seeing less of less. Do you feel the same?
Yeah, 100%.
How important is the relationship or a dynamic between a director and a producer?
Very important. And ideally, they should always be on the same wavelength. But I think sometimes that does not happen, and that's very natural, because the director will try to protect his creative idea as much as possible, and the brand is going to have its own requirements, and the producer is always in between them, because they are the ones who do client servicing. So they have to listen to the client saying, no, I want that product packet in that corner of that frame right now, and the director will be like, that does not make sense. Like, this is not, like, for example, if it's a milk product, right?
Yeah.
They'll be like, we want it in, and it will be like some outdoor location, and the milk packet does not make sense in that location. It's not a kitchen.
In terms of the storytelling
In
part
the
of it.
storytelling. Those are the times where the director and the producer relationship matters a lot. Because if they are not in
Aligned.
sync, then it's going to cause like fights on set. And on set means delays again.
If at all I ask you, what are those 2 or 3 things that you would prefer to be improved in the industry?
I think a little more trust in the creative team would be something that really needs to
I'll
change.
completely agree on that.
Yeah, like I think clients need to trust when an agency or a production house says something, right? They push back on something. That is because they've had their own experiences and they come from a point of view that has to have some value. I've had experiences where a client has written script in-house because they had ex-agency folks, and they've written luxurious script. No, and they'll come with a budget like some 10 lakhs or something because they don't know where the money goes, and 10 lakhs seems like a huge amount, right, for anyone who doesn't know. So they'll come and then they'll not understand why no one is picking up that project, because they don't collaborate with us from the initial stages. If they had like probably bought us on board initially and then said, okay, I'm planning this idea and this is the money I have, then
What
there'll
would
be
be
some
the production cost?
Yeah,
Yeah.
there'll be someone who will flag it and say that, hey, this is not going to happen if you have 10 locations. You have to probably think of it in like 2 locations. And then you have to write the script according to that, and only then it will fit the budget. So I think a bit more trust. Other than that, and work-life balance, I hope that the market gets better and the marketing budgets get better. You know,
Also more women in set.
100%. I've had many instances. If there is no actress on set or an actor on set, That means there's no stylist and makeup members as well.
Not required for male
Yeah,
actors.
that's the only place where I find some females on set, right? In hair and makeup and stylist.
But not on the crew side.
Not on the crew side.
Agreed completely. So, Nishmita, coming
Yes.
to the final part of our podcast discussion. If a person or a student today is thinking of becoming a producer, as a taking a production as a career, what are the 3 major takeaways that you would want to give to such a student?
Okay. One would be watch a lot of content as much as possible. If you're going into
All types.
All types. Like, don't be like, I'm going to advertising, I'll only watch ads. No, just watch every kind of content. You be open to it and like study it as much as possible. Second would be on shoots. Like, even if you're in college, just shoot something on your phone, short films, whatever, music videos, vlogs, Instagram reels, doesn't matter. Just keep shooting. Or like, if you want to be a producer, then put your team together. Find a classmate who wants to shoot, find another classmate who has even an inclination towards whatever, like convince them to do it. But just like constantly keep doing something, creating content, watch content, create content. And the third I would say would be very aware, in the sense that if you want to be a producer, then see where other producers are already, like, you know, look at who the companies are, what kind of content they're doing, where the films are going. When Diwali comes, which Diwali film went to whom, where the brands have gone to.
So which just are the production houses, who are the DOPs, who are the actors.
And it's so easy now. We have social media. You know one company, like if say a college student knows Bigfoot Productions by chance, they'll go to Bigfoot, or Pan Orbit by chance, they'll go to Pan Orbit. In the credits, you'll...
In the caption, they would have added, linked all the talent.
Yeah. Then you'll know that this person's the producer, this person's the DOP. Follow them. And when the DOP puts up another film that they've done, you'll find another producer. And just like keep going like that, and be aware of who's doing what, so that when you want to join, you will know what kind of content you want and who to approach, because they'll be doing in that similar zone. So just be really aware. I think these are the 3 things that people have to keep doing.
So producer is also a scouting manager.
Yes, that's the whole talent, right? You need to know who's creative, where.
Who's good in
what. 100%.
Wonderful. It was amazing talking to you, Nishmita. Thank you very much for finally giving us the time.
Thank you.